On today's episode of Banterpreneurs, we discuss how to adapt and evolve in our businesses in these unpredictable times.
Our expert, Andrew Griffiths, enlightens us with wise words about how to choose your lane in business and stay in it.
And we discover the secret to being sexy in business.
Solopreneurs, come on down! Unpacking all your business woes on the go. Your queens of business banter, Laura and Lindsay. You're in for a hilarious half hour of unconventional, unpredictable, unadulterated solopreneur shenanigans, jam-packed with pearls of wisdom and actionable aha moments. Let's get ready to banter!
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Banterpreneurs. She is Lindsay. She's a creativity coach, an improv teacher, and she's just received some mystical statue, which I think she said is called ganache, but I don't think it's made of chocolate because she lives in Queensland, but apparently is going to bring her good luck in her life.
Yes, well, this is what Mum believes. So she sent me Ganesh, and no, it is not a chocolate.
I'm not interested then.
Welcome, everybody. This is Laura. She is a performance coach. She's an international speaker, and she's had a pretty annoying day so far. So we'll see how that goes. Yes.
But before we get into that, I would like to introduce our very, very, very special guest today. It's Mr. Andrew Griffiths, or the governor, as I like to call him.
Oh, nice.
So he is an international best-selling author with 14 books sold throughout the world. He's a wombat ambassador, and he's actually joining us from the bush today. Here he is.
Here he is. Welcome from the bush.
Appeared on cue like magic.
Amazing.
I know, right?
Amazing.
You are. By the way, can you please clear up Griffiths?
I know it's Griffiths, but it gets complicated when there's an ownership thing as an author. Griffiths is so most people just ignore it and just go, it's all too hard. I don't even know how to do that. I feel like changing my name because of that.
Do you know what? I think you've just given already the best piece of advice. Just ignore things when they become too hard.
Yeah.
But of course, the fortunate thing that I have is that most people know Andy Griffiths, the kids author, who's extraordinarily, famous and all the rest of it. And we have many, many cases of mistaken identity. So even some of your listeners were probably, the minute the camera went, oh,
hang on a minute.
That's disappointing. So I live with this constant look of disappointment in people's eyes, as a result of that. Often little kids, when I'm speaking at events, come up to me with books from the other Andy Griffiths and say, "Can you please sign that?" It's like, oh my goodness me. So I used to ignore it, but then I started just signing them randomly. And so
good on you.
Just basically committing acts of fraud all around the country.
You heard it here first. This is a Banterpreneurs exclusive.
Yes, exclusive, guys. Exclusive.
Fraudster Andrew Griffiths.
The big news, breaking criminal acts here. I like that.
Yeah. Now, look, I would like to, please, if you guys will allow me, to just start by sharing my day today. Number one, because I think if I talk about it, I'm going to feel better about it.
Oh, we do that then.
Thank you. And number two, because I think it's a good segue. We, as we always do, just had a quick chat before about what we want to chat about. And I think this sets it up nicely. I must also say that I waxed my upper lip last night, so I'm extra sweaty.
It looks lovely, I've got to say.
Today, if for those watching YouTube.
I wonder where that conversation was going to go. I waxed my, okay, this is turned dark early. Okay.
All right,
welcome aboard. Yeah.
Yeah. So my day today, basically, I went to my studio where I always record from. There were some builders that were supposed to do some roof work in November. They turned up today. So they made lots of noise, which is, of course, no good for a podcast recording. I couldn't go home because I'm having my driveway carved up today, which I only found out about yesterday, so that we can have that concreted. So I then hot-footed it to my friend's co-working space. I'm going to give her a shout out. It's Mel at the Foundry Co-work in Gosford and Erin on the Central Co. And so that's why it's a bit echoey. So I apologize. We've done the best we can,
Yes.
which I'm sure is going to be a piece of advice that's going to come up at some point. Oh, and by the way, when I parked here, my car key broke off in the ignition.
Oh, wow, really?
So I had to angrily FaceTime my husband going, help me, help me, help me.
Well, I mean, if that was my superstitious mum who gave me the Ganesh, she would say, well, that's 3 things now. It's all done.
So we're good?
Okay, you're all fine now. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, I wanted to share that. I do feel better now. So thank you everyone for allowing me that
Good.
space. But I think it is a very good segue because what we want to talk about today is adapting and evolving in business.
Love it.
Not sure I've evolved from all that crap. But I definitely
Evolution is a process.
Quickly.
It's a process, okay? It's fine. Yeah.
And you know what I was thinking during it all is the first step, I believe, is acceptance.
Yes.
So I accepted.
I think so.
It was a shit day.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just gotten better being here with you guys. So we have the benefit of the governor here.
Governor's here. Here he is.
We were kind of trying to decide how we could say that you're very experienced and you've got a lot of years in business without making it sound like you're really old.
Okay,
I
I
didn't
am.
come up with a solution for that.
No, that's all right. There'll be a lot of when I was a boy kind of line coming out over the
Excellent. During the war kind of lines.
During the war. This is how we used to do it in World War
During
One.
the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insert your war of choice.
Yeah. The Civil War, when yeah.
So I guess it's relevant in so many ways. So we were just having a quick chat about ChatGPT. We're not going to go into it today, but that was where this all started. Is this whole new AI revolution, if you want to call it, which is going to require a lot of adaptation and evolving. But also we're in January 2023. Like the world has gone mental, and there's a lot of uncertainty, particularly in business. So inevitably, we are going to have to adapt and evolve this year. Not pivot. No. That word doesn't belong to 2023.
No.
So yeah, that's why we think this is going to be a really great subject, and why we're happy to have the Gov here to.
We got the Gov here. Yeah, we got the Gov, and all of that experience. I mean, I would say you've been in business for like as long as Laura's been alive, or maybe longer. But
probably longer.
You look great.
I mean,
okay, I just want to say that. All right.
Well, I think next year is my 40th year in business.
Wow.
I reckon. So I bought my first business when I was 17, going on 18. Wow. And like most of us, doesn't matter. I don't think this is something that never changes. I had no freaking idea what I was doing. So so that alone. I mean, who does? So 2023, most of us get into business because we fall into it, or it's a good idea, or we're unemployable, or
that's me. Or
some other thing kind of happens. But it's a really interesting take, because I think what that gives me, when you talk about adapt and evolve, is I've seen every milestone. That like Gulf Wars, GFCs, the Y2Ks, in the late 80s, when you're paying 27% interest on, I borrowed money to buy my business on 25% interest. Like higher than credit card interest.
Wow.
And in the 80s, though, I was a kid. I walked into a bank and walked out with a check for whatever it was, 30 grand or 50 grand or something. I can't even remember what it was. Like literally, not only was their interest rates ridiculous, but they would also throw vast wads of cash at you. Can we go
back? Can we go back?
I miss those times.
Yes,
I miss those times so much.
Yeah.
And it's all relative, right? People today complain, 3.5% interest. It's like, really?
That's true.
The perspective is there, but it's been interesting, adapt and evolve. If I look at all of those ups and downs, whatever they were, and I talk a lot about that stuff these days, they all had the same hallmarks. Something significant has happened. Everyone's freaking out. We somehow get through it. Not everyone makes it, but some people do. And it's some words of incredible genius there. But it's the whole if you said to me, how have I managed to survive and not go broke and somehow,
Yes.
be a business owner for that long? It is without a doubt my ability to adapt and evolve. More than any, I'm not that bright. I'm not that, any of the other things. I'm ruggedly handsome. I'll give you that, ladies.
Come on.
You can have that one.
But it is adapt and evolve. Without a doubt, I look at all of those kind of, things, and as a skill set, that's what, I think that's what you got to have as a business owner these days, because I saw a great diagram a little while ago, and it showed that like a CEO of a company in 1910 had 5 responsibilities. The CEO of a company in 2023 has upwards of 5,000 responsibilities.
Oh my God!
In terms of their and I don't think it's any different for a business owner. Way back when I was a boy, you bought something, you sold something, you hope you made a profit, and that was enough to feed your family or feed your dog. Like whatever it might be. Now we got to be, marketing managers, lawyers, HR. We product development, product delivery. We've got to be. There's so much we got to do that it makes me actually wonder what's the upper limit of that.
Surely we've got to be getting close.
Man, you'd think so. I used to think business was complicated. Back in the Crimean. Even I used to run a marketing company. My first business was a dive shop, and I'm a commercial diver by trade. That was easy, just blow bubbles and
try not to die.
Being a marketing guy, we would think, we've got like all this. It's complicated. It's like you got TV, newspaper, radio, outdoor advertising, and possibly a letterbox drop. You got kind of 5 key areas.
Don't forget a sandwich board.
I've worn sandwich boards, but it was like, and you go, okay, so shall we do TV and radio? And it's like, okay, let's take the rest of the week off. Now you look at marketing, it is the most complicated freaking thing on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
And I look at that and go, well, how have marketers had to adapt and evolve? Is it easier if you start business today and it's just what it is, or is it easier that you've got hindsight? Like for me, with 40 years of doing what I do,
I wonder if it is as complicated as we think it is, or actually, do we just have? I mean, we've got more things available to us, right? So we've got all the analytics and all this kind of stuff, which sure that complicates it, but also I think we've just got so many more options, and we kind of, I think, can fall into a trap when we think we have to take a lot, if not all of these options. Whereas quite often with me, actually, I look at the digital space and I go, do you know what? It's actually the same principles online as it is offline. Building communities, talking with people, making connections, all that kind of stuff. But I think just because there's so much out there, it just seems really complicated. And I'm hoping that's the case.
I like that theory. I think we'll just go with that. The thing is too that ignorance is bliss. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like sometimes people who just don't worry about that shit just become successful because they're just not sort of bogged down in all the minutiae of everything, and probably their drive or their vision or what it is that they want to achieve is more at the forefront of their mind than, I got to do all this stuff, And, I don't know. It's just weird when you hear like about actors or singers and stuff that have made it. I'm putting that in air quotes, people who are listening. A lot of the time when you see interviews, they're like, no, I just knew that I wanted to do this.
And I just kept going.
I just, just had that. But I'm just putting that in there. That could be complete balderdash. But I'm just putting that in there. So I'm gonna. That's a good word. I like that one, balderdash.
I do too.
I'm gonna push it back to Andrew. What are your thoughts on that? Like, can ignorance be bliss? Can we overcomplicate things?
Sure.
What's your feeling?
I think there's 2 things I think about there. One, what you said, Laura, was really interesting as well. Do we just do stuff because we should do it? Like, let me give you an example of that. I remember in 1912, I bought I bought a fax machine because you had to have a fax machine, right? And it cost me $5,000 for a fax machine.
What?
Yeah. And of course, I got it, pulled it out of the friggin' box and plugged it into the wall. And sat there and kind of went, and I bought it because I was in business and fax machines were the latest things and you had to have one.
Yeah.
I had no one to fax anything to. Right? There was no, but I had this amazing fax machine because if you're in business, you've got to have a fax machine.
Yeah, right.
And I do think there's a bit of that, and I see that with everything. You remember Clubhouse, how big Clubhouse was, for 5 minutes?
So, literally.
Like,
that was so
and everyone had to adopt it. Now, I think that there's a bit of a challenge there between like ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is the beginning of something big, which is going to affect us, in many ways. But I think that, you can't adopt everything, and you've got to be smart enough to know to be aware but not alarmed. Keeping an eye on stuff. Everyone goes, if you don't adopt ChatGPT today, you're going to miss out and your business is going to go broke. It doesn't really work that way. So, I don't really kind of, think it's like that. So I think it's interesting. And that's certainly what I try to do is keep a little finger even on the pulse of what's happening and not leap into something that actually becomes a distraction, as opposed to going, how about I just do what I do really well?
Can I just interject, Andrew? Because I noticed something you said before and it was so beautiful. I just loved it so much. About when you first came on, you said, look, I'm not, the smartest guy. I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not that. I feel like as well, if you know who you are and how you work as a business person, that's going to help you to know what things you can adopt and what you can't, if you're just honest with yourself. Does that sound right?
You know what it is, I think, Lindsay, for me, it's about understanding. It's actually a really big conversation. You're right. What is it that you understand yourself and what it is? And I think it sounds terribly freaking hippy dippy, but you've got to know yourself, find yourself so that you can stop second guessing yourself.
Shooting all over yourself.
Shooting all over yourself.
Let me use an example here. I get this line all the time, and I have for many years. People say to me all the time, Andrew, you're amazingly consistent. Now, I translated that.
Not sexy, though, is it?
Oh, well, thank you. I was going to say something, like a little bit different, but we've cut straight to it. But yes, right? Wow, you're
Laura, man.
You're amazingly consistent. Okay, so basically, you're saying I'm boring as batshit. Is what? And I go, no. You always turn up. All my speaking clients, all my coaching clients, all my readers. Everyone says you're consistent. You've been consistent since I've been reading your books for 25 years or working with you. You are always consistent and predictable, and I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't get to, I didn't let them finish the sentence. They're going, I know what I'm going to get with you. There's a safety in working with you. Now, part of me is going, yeah, but I want to be the sexiest, the latest cutting edge guy. I've got the latest bells and whistles, and my book is about, curing business or every business sale. But what it comes back to, I think, again, now more so is now when people say that to me, I'm grateful that they say that, because it took me a long time to hear what they were saying, because that tells me how they value me. And I think we have a one-dimensional view of value. I'm valued on my product or service, whereas in reality, how we're valued by our customers, potential customers, is all of this other stuff, and the product and service is over here.
Yeah.
And when we understand that, life becomes much more simple, because we figure out, okay, if I'm a great communicator, they value me because I'm a great communicator. They value me because I turn up. Every call, I'm exactly the same. Every stage I get on, every meeting I get on, my energy level. You've known me for a long time, Laura. Have you ever seen me
it's
the other way? I'm always turning up. And again, it's not the product or the service, it's me and the energy I bring out. And I think I look back now and I get that that's of value. We got to look at, redefine how we're valued by others, because
that's and ourselves.
And ourselves, exactly. So being consistent, I don't have to go out and buy a red Ferrari and get a hair implant on my chest and gold chains to make me feel some kind of value, on that. So
and I think that's so special, because how many people can really say that nowadays? And I think it is because look, there's so many depths I can go to with this, but I think because we do get lost in the shoulds and all these different options, we're constantly thinking that we should be more or should be doing something else than, you know, what we really are, what's important to us and what works for us. And so then we are just constantly looking for these bells and whistles, which then means that we're not always showing up consistently because we're changing all of the time. Look at my LinkedIn profile over the years. I've had so many different labels because I've had to go through a journey of getting to the point where I go, fuck it, this is me. And this is what you're going to get. And I welcome, you know, I invite you to enjoy that. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But I've had to go through that process in my business journey, in my life journey. God, how wanky do I sound right now?
Can I put a spanner in the work here?
Yeah, please. And then I'll probably turn it around and put it back in.
So if you have been doing all this change, that is adaptation.
Oh,
right?
Totally. But it's almost like, sorry, carry on. I cut you off.
I don't know what that means. I'm just chucking the spanner in there. I'm going to see what you guys say about that. It's in there. The spanner's in there. So we're talking about knowing thyself and everything. And is the knowing thyself also a process, though?
Well, it's also a bit of an addiction, right?
Because talk to me.
I think that we often are always looking for something because of a perceived I'm not enough in some shape or form, or I'm my messaging is not as sexy, which is such an unsexy thing to say, you know, or everyone else seems brighter, sharper. Everyone writes a book that's more cutting edge or speaks about bigger stuff. When you know your lane, whatever that looks like, forget the product. I think that's we focus so much on what we're selling. When you know your lane, like for me, I know I don't write books that are, you know, the 4-hour work week, you know, like I write meat and potatoes books that help people do stuff better in business.
Yeah.
For a long time, I wanted to write the 4-hour work week, right? Because I had envy of, I've got to write that book. Now I go, you know, I don't. I know what I do and I'm really, really comfortable with that. It's like, you know, the being consistent and going, oh, well, that sucks, as opposed to going, I love hearing that. I love to hear that kind of, you know, because that means I'm doing what I'm doing. I think that when we kind of reach a stage where we can, and maybe this is an age thing, you know, I don't know, an experience thing, I don't know, but it's just like, I love it when I meet someone like who makes camembert cheese and they've got 40 cows.
Yeah.
All they do is make camembert cheese and sell it at the market on a Saturday morning, and they make the most amazing camembert cheese. They know every cow by its name. And that is what they do really, really well. They know themselves and they don't, you know that they're not sitting there going, oh my God, I wonder if my Instagram page has gone off. I wonder if this has happened. Really, do I need plastic surgery? Do my cows need plastic surgery? Some of them look a bit old. There's a peacefulness that comes with finding who you are as a human being. And then applying that to business, I find. And I know that's a little bit out there to say that, but I guess I just talk for myself on that. When I'm okay to not be the world's greatest speaker, when I'm okay to not be the cutting edge writer, when I'm okay knowing that there are people that are probably better at it, but I've got my lane and my lane works really, really well. And I'm really valued and appreciated. And,
beautiful.
You know, rah. And then it takes all the pressure off me to try and keep, you know, wanting to be something that I'm not.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? Well, you know, I joke saying that being consistent isn't sexy, but you know, I was going to say
king.
I was going to say what is sexy, but now it might sound like I'm cracking on to you. I'm not. But
Wombats.
What
of course
is sexy though? What is sexy for oneself is to be in business for almost 40 years. You know, is to be able to be in business doing something that you love, is being able to be in business and have an amazing community around you, which I know you do, Andrew, to not be having to go out and hard sell all the time, you know, having people come to you, like that sort of stuff is what we all want. And, you know, I bang on about it all the frigging time because I've come to that realization. I'm lucky I've done it early in my life. I think it helped when my business burnt down and I had to adapt and evolve.
Probably on purpose, right? Sympathy. Right?
Look,
you're not the only criminal, Andrew.
We've already given exactly. That's how you adapt and evolve.
Yeah, you're in shady company here, man.
But that's the thing I've come to realize is it is all about just being comfortable with yourself, sticking to that lane, as you very nicely said. And then the rest just kind of comes, right? And most importantly, you enjoy it a lot more, right?
Absolutely. I say it's taken me 40 years to probably build the business that I wanted. In every sense.
Is it going to take that long?
Don't say that to a man. Come on.
Everyone just leave on that note. You know, it's like,
don't
take 40 years
on this podcast, please.
But it was, what don't I want? I got caught up. My ego drove so much. I've had a bigger business. I've had had a team, had all this other stuff. I've got, all this other stuff that I kind of got caught up in. And again, it's not like it's a midlife crisis or any of that stuff. It's just I realize what's important, and actually what's important when it boils down to it for me is helping people. Really, that's why I do what I want to do. But I'm not afraid of making money in doing that, But that's the motivator. I'm a teacher. I teach people stuff, and that's my background. But it's just
that's so sexy.
Thank you. But it's taken me a long time, and that's where I think again, as you do, Laura, I know in particular, it's kind of about calling stuff, and I think again, it's like knowing when your ego is driving it, knowing when I'm only doing this, and like building the business that everyone else wants you to build, rather than the business that you want. And I have to keep the metaphor going, stayed in my lane, and it's enabled me to have this great business where you're right. I've got an amazing community. I travel the world. I make a great income. I do what I want. I don't want to be a Tim Ferriss on a stage like that. I don't want to be I know what I don't want really clearly. And I'll go to great lengths to make sure that I don't get caught up in that. My ego is not going to draw me in. It was always ego that would draw me in the past. Wanting to do that, and I just don't play that game anymore. Because it actually hasn't led to anything positive. It's exhausting. It's exhausting doing stuff that you think other people want you to do, as opposed to going, well, this is what I want. And it's simple for me. I know who I want to work with. I know who I don't want to work with. I know what kind of stuff I want to do. I know what I want my day to look like. If I don't look at my calendar and smile, then there's something wrong. I need to look at my calendar and know that it's filled with just doing good stuff with good people.
That's awesome.
And that's one of my measurement sticks. I don't look ahead at a week and go, oh, fuck. I never do that, because I've consciously, made the decision that if I've got OFs in there, then I've got, they shouldn't be in there.
They shouldn't. They need to be out.
They shouldn't be in there. And that doesn't happen by accident.
Okay, here's what's coming into my head, which I think might come into our audience's head. Okay. So I think that's the ultimate, right? That's the ultimate that I believe, and you're confirming this, Andrew, that we should all be working towards, is being able to be in that place where we're comfortable in who we are, where we know what we want, where we know what we're good at, who we want to work with, all that kind of stuff, so we can know our lane and just put the foot on the gas and go for it in that lane. As you just said, it wasn't always that way. So, but you said that the key has been adapting and evolving throughout the 40 years. So if I can relate this to food, because I think we all like food, don't we?
I think, food's on the mind. I mean, Ganesh, chocolate.
Camembert.
Camembert, there it is.
If there was like one or two key ingredients for you that has been present throughout your entire journey and you're adapting and evolving, what would you say that is, or have the ingredients changed?
I think that there's a few things. One for me, I think that I've had to have a philosophy of getting better. And that's been with me every step of the way. Like, how can I do this better? And better means different things. That's the difference. You know, like not more. How do I make more, grow more, do more? That's actually never the question that I asked myself. My question was always, how can I do this better? How can I be a better coach, a better writer, a better speaker, a better human being? You know, like they were the questions that I asked, and I think asking those questions was really helpful because I was looking for ways to evolve, you know, constantly. I think the second thing was curiosity. Again, might sound a bit cliche.
Yeah, we love that.
But
we love that.
I love curiosity.
I'm curious about everything. Everything. You know, you name it, I'm curious about it. Like I want to know more. I have a hunger. I have a just like, you know, again, I can never learn enough about stuff. And that I think is hugely helpful. And the third thing that I think, if I was going to try and pick biggish things, is that I've really learnt to appreciate and value crossroad moments, and to identify them for starters, and you know, even to map back and look at my life and to turn around and say that there were so many moments that because I didn't know at the time, but on reflection, there was a crossroad moment that led to the next chapter, the next evolution, the next big shift, whatever it might be. And I think learning to be appreciative and grateful of those crossroad moments. And sometimes I turn left when I should have turned right, and sometimes it's gone the other way. But I think that we think of adapt and evolve as this gradual kind of over time we do this, but I think in reality it's far more violent than that a lot of the time. There's a term in evolution called punctuated equilibrium. And it means
the big words are coming out,
not the only ones that can throw in big words. And the whole idea of this being is that evolution happens like in something happens
steps,
and then we go across. So, you know, like all of a sudden, if you're an animal and the food source dries up, you know, that means we've got to change and start eating something else and evolve, and we grow stronger, and we have these bursts of evolution. I think the same happens for us in business. You know, ChatGPT comes along and all of a sudden we're AI obsessed, or Y2K happens, or GSC happens, or, you know, something significant happens that changes. The internet arrives, you know, and changes everything. And in a very short amount of time, we change and adapt. So for me, those moments, I've gone back in my life and I've mapped all of them and looked at every single one and tried to understand what caused it, what happened, why did I make that decision, what was the end result of that kind of move, and kind of do like almost a map of if I didn't give that book to that guy 25 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. And that is quite fascinating for me, when often we don't even take the time to draw those connections. You know?
Everything leads to where you are, right?
I got decompression sickness as a commercial diver. I wouldn't have written a book if I didn't get decompression sickness. I wouldn't have traveled the world, wouldn't blah, 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 blah. Those nitrogen bubbles at the base of my brain changed my life. I'm grateful to those nitrogen bubbles every day, because my life is a whole lot better than it was, you know, blowing bubbles, you know, all day long. So there are a few things that I think kind of, you know, it's that asking the better questions about, you know, what I want, a curiosity, and then just appreciating the crossroads for what they are. And
I think, sorry, I cut you off there. I do that.
That's okay.
She does it. It's fine.
I just wanted to kind of reiterate what you said, because I think it's so important, is appreciating the crossroads, but actually just appreciating every little thing that happens. And if it's a little thing that doesn't make you feel good and doesn't work, that's fine. You acknowledge it, you get curious, you ask questions about, well, what can I do to move away from this thing that isn't making me feel good? But in doing so, like, that had a purpose, because it made you ask some questions and choose a direction. So I think so often we can get caught up in, oh my God, all that happened and blah, 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 and we get stuck in the past. Whereas I think it's really important to pop back to the past, have a look at what happened, take the learnings from it, and then come back to now and use that to look at how you can use that to stay in your lane.
Well, and to reframe it, you know, like, you know, we all look at those. You know, if you're not doing that, well, you know, again, cliche after cliche, we can be, you know, you'll keep the same mistakes happening and all the rest of it. But it's so extraordinary when you do reframe something. It's like someone who you've held a grudge with for 20 years, or, you know, or some situation in your life. You know, like again, you know, to throw that into the mix for me, you know, I grew up as an orphan. You know, I never, you know, I had that unusual kind of childhood. For a long time, I was enormously pissed at my parents. You know, kind of, how could you abandon me? I would have been the most beautiful baby. You know,
you would have been sexy, Andrew. I mean,
would have been sexy. I would have been a sexy baby.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Sexy baby. That's going on Instagram.
That's going.
Hashtag sexy baby.
But I, you know, because you know, you go straight into victim mode, and when as soon as I reframe that, and I think, what would I have done if I was a 17-year-old girl, had 2 kids out of wedlock in, you know, redneck, you know, Melbourne in 1966 type of thing, and my family had kicked me out and all the rest of it. You know, it's like, wow, you know, maybe giving the kids to some old lady who lived up the road who looked like Mrs. Doubtfire was an act of love instead of an act of neglect.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. That's irrelevant.
You'll never know. It's up to you how you...
You change the rhetoric. You change that internal thing. And I see way too many people that their entire life is driven by shit that happened to them many years ago. That is, they can't even really remember why they bear a grudge now, but they do. Same as business mistakes. Someone stole $1,000 from me 30 years ago, so now all staff are criminals.
Yes.
All people will do, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, you gotta, you know, owning a business is the best personal development program you'll ever do. If
100%.
If you choose to look at it that way.
If you choose to learn from it. Speaking of learning, because I just I'm conscious of time. This is really interesting to me, Andrew. What I loved, something that you said that I really, really loved, was that you basically base where you're going on where you want to be now. So I want to spend time with these people. I want to be doing these things. I want to, and it's almost like no matter what the environment causes for adaptation in behavior, the actual center is always the calm of the storm. So the center is always, you know, this is my values. This is what I want. This is what I want in my life. Yes, I might need to change behaviors here and there or learn from behaviors and change them. But at the core, this is me as a course. And no matter what happens, and no matter how I have to evolve, and no matter what that adaptation is, I know that there is a place inside me that if I am able to tune into that place, that I keep my north, my true north.
Absolutely. And that takes work because there's always things that'll come along. It's all, you know, look, it's also, again, to feel a little bit hippy dippy, but this is true. Like I've got my own mental checklist for an opportunity comes along. You know, I get it all the time. Someone wants to come along, they want a partner, they want to do something, you know, my checklist is all, you know, all of this stuff.
Yes.
Do I like the people? You know, it's not, hey, is that a good P&L kind of, you know, decision on that? Is a profit margin high enough? To be honest, that's almost, that's just there, you know. But it's like, are they ethical? Are they aligned? You know, is it in alignment with who I am and what I want to do? And the last one on my list is, what does my intuition say? Now they can all be ticks, and if my intuition says don't do it, I won't do it. I've learnt to listen to my intuition a great deal over the years.
Yes, that's so important.
And it will never lie to you. Every business mistake I've made, I knew that it was a mistake when I made it. I knew that it was a mistake, and you know, the don't do it was replaced by, no, shut up. No, it's a great idea.
She'll be right.
I should go into business with them and give them all my money. Bank account details. Well, they'll need my bank account details. You know? And it's like you know, it's almost like, no, I told you so on the shoulder. But I've really, particularly in the last 10 years, made the effort to really reconnect with my intuition. And that again, you know, comes back into the mix of, to complete that whole, being able to stay in my own lane, listening and being, you know, all the stuff that we've spoken about, you know, being clear about what I want, what I don't want, you know, listening to that intuitive self, being okay to zig when everyone else is zagging, not listening to that you should do this and, oh my God, you could do that and all that kind of stuff. That's great if that's what I want to do. But, you know, I see too many people caught up in building a business that they really don't want.
Yeah.
Right.
And
love
how
that.
much do you think? Yeah. I'll turn that into a lovely.
It's heartbreaking, you know?
Yeah. I find it really sad in business and in life when I come across people, particularly in businesses, where you just know they're not loving it, they're not doing what they want to do, they feel like they should be something that they're not. I find it really sad, actually.
Totally. Very common too, hey?
So common. That's why we're here fighting the good fight. So yeah, thanks for that.
You know, like how you went through the war, you know, that's what we do.
Remember that?
You speak up.
Now, I know we have to wrap up because Andrew needs to go and have his nap.
I'm late.
No,
I'm joking. But
he's got a runway. He's sexy. He's got a runway to do after this. Just
sexy
don't
baby.
Lie.
Sexy
yeah,
baby.
Sexy baby. Yeah.
It's so wrong.
Oh my God. Look, you're filling my brain with things that aren't helpful right now, guys. I wanted to ask you one more thing on that, because I know this is something that resonates with all of us, particularly me, because I want everything to happen yesterday. Is how much do you think time comes into this? So have you been a slow and steady wins the race kind of guy, or have you been a bull in a china shop sometimes? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I've been both. I've definitely been both. But one thing I've always done, though, is I've always played a long game.
Yeah.
So there's times that I've sped that up and times that I've slowed it down, but it's always been about playing a longer game, as in what I do, decisions I make in business, who I work with, all of that kind of stuff. It's never been about short term, because that runs out eventually, because there's only so much long term is in front of me. But one thing that, again, is purely, I guess, my approach is I don't let anyone else speed me up.
Right.
That's good.
Love that. Told you I hate rushing, Laura. I told you I hate rushing. I hate
but sometimes people need a little kick up the arse, though.
But so, for example, a very simple one may be, someone says, you got to get back to us by 5 o'clock today about this. Otherwise, we're going to offer it someone else. I say no on the spot. You know what I mean? I don't buy into that. There's always another opportunity, another this, another that. I know from my experience that most of the time, anything that you've got to hurry up and make a decision on that's going to cost you money, it's for their benefit, not for yours. You know, those kind of things. So I tend to. You
may have just changed my mind about something, Andrew.
Well,
anyway,
well, good.
Someone's asked me to do something with that time limit thing.
I never decide on the spot. You know, like, people ask me to do something, commit to something. I go, look, I need to think about that. I need to check my diary. Does it align? You know, bang, bang, bang. Whereas before I'd be a bit faster. I'd say yes. What I did was I filled my calendar up with shit that I shouldn't do, because I couldn't say no, or this is the world's great. I have 100 world's greatest opportunities every day emailed to me. You know, I'm pretty sure they're not all the world's greatest opportunities.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so I think I've just learnt to manage that a little bit better and go, again, to be honest, this is about me staying in my lane, me running my business to the beat of my own drum, and just go as fast or slow as I want to. And there's some years that I might go, you know what, I'm going to take it a bit easier this year. I'm not going to work as hard. Other years where I go, I've got a big tax bill, I've got to work my bum off. But I'd like a business that I can prod it or poke it to do that.
Yeah.
You know, not like I've just got to keep doing the slog.
Foot on the gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's exhausting to do that, and you do burn out. And I'm had many, burn and, the cycle of burnout, which I had earlier on. And I didn't make any more money. I spent years working 18 hours a day, 6 o'clock till midnight, every day of the week, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Did I make money? No. Did I have a great relationship? Yeah, sure. Was I healthy? Was I healthy and vital? Oh, amazingly,
Yeah.
But again, it takes big things to happen to snap you out of that. My belief was, you've got to work hard, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. That was the dialogue that I was telling myself. And literally, I was 50 kilos overweight and one blocked artery away from dropping dead. So
wow.
For no gain. Except story.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Like if a client came to me now with that, what should I do? See a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Like you're nuts.
Have a nap.
Have a nap. Have a nap and a piece of pie.
Have
You
some
know, like, just do
camembert,
something.
okay? Just
Yeah.
have some
Freaking
camembert.
Eat a chocolate Ganesh. Just
Yeah,
do
that's-
whatever it is. You know.
Yeah. And can I say that's the experience I had as well before the gym burnt down. I was sleeping on a swag
Burnt
in
down.
my office
Yeah.
on the floor because I didn't want to waste time going home every day. And I live 15 minutes away. So I'd roll out my swag every night, sleep in my office, roll it back up. Luckily, I had some bathrooms at the gym.
You're crazy, man.
I was crazy. And guess what?
What a
I burnt
story.
out and I had zero money in my bank account. So exactly what you're saying. It didn't get me anywhere except Shitsville.
And every part of your life sucks when you're there, because there's no room or no energy for it to be anything but that. And all the reasons why we're doing it, you know, are just kind of fantasies in some respects as well, because, you know, we've just got a bad plan, we've got a bad thing, and we just keep doing more of it. So the answer is to keep working more hours. And you go, okay, so you're working 14 hours a day, so working more hours is going to make it better. Like, it feels so illogical to even say.
And it's diminished returns anyway. It's scientifically, like, the longer you go on, the less the return is.
Totally.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just it's nuts. But that's the story, again, that we get so, you know, so locked into. So locked into.
Yeah.
It becomes powerful.
You hear it every day, don't you? How's business? Busy. How are you? Busy. Oh my gosh. OMG.
I just say that though, so people leave me alone. It's going busy, man. I can't. Yeah, I'm just watching Poirot right now. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Let's wrap this up.
Wrap it up.
I think Andrew actually did a very, very.
Andrew's a classic,
nice.
man. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I want Andrew back. Can we have Andrew back at some stage?
I don't know. He needs to go through his mental checklist and see if we can tick some of those
I
boxes.
know. My intuition alarm bells are going off. Don't do it.
Yeah.
We will send you a box of camembert if you do. So look, this is what I've taken from it. I always like to summarize things. So basically, I mean, I'm very happy actually, Andrew, that you've kind of reinforced what we say quite a lot in many different contexts on our podcast, is that really it comes down to knowing yourself and doing what you can do to get comfortable in that, so that you can then understand what you really want, not what you should want, what's really important to you, and then have those two things in alignment, so that you're constantly staying in the lane that you're supposed to be in, enjoying being in that lane, but then also attracting the right people and the right opportunities into that lane. And with that, knowing when you need to adapt and evolve, and knowing how you can adapt and evolve at that given time, and help you kind of ride any waves of shit that might come along the way rather than getting wiped out by them. So I think, you know, the quicker people can really get to that, asking questions, being curious, really working on yourself, the quicker the business is going to benefit and everyone around you.
Yeah, this is why she does the summation. How good was that?
Yeah, perfect.
That's
Build the business that you really want. You just got to know what that business is, not the business you think everyone else thinks you should be building. That's a fundamental point, because that to me was the beginning of, what do I want? You know, and when I could finally take a step back, going, man, I'm just building something that I think everyone thinks I should build a bigger company and I should do this and do that. I don't want that. I hate people. You know, like the last thing I want to do is have a team people and do this and do that. So, and maybe I'll leave you with one other quote. My favorite quote at the moment is from Alvin Toffler, who wrote the book Future Shock. And it says, the illiterate of the 21st century won't be those who can't read or write, but those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Yes.
And that to me is really what this whole adapt and evolution has become now.
Yeah.
Learn, unlearn stuff, and then relearn new stuff. And I think that's a really poignant kind of a, you know, quote. And I also wanted to leave like with a profound feeling.
Yes.
You know, to make
I think it's a mic drop right there. That's a mic drop.
It's like
100%.
Everyone's forgotten about the sexy baby. It's fine.
You brought it back.
They're all getting counselling
I'm
about that
bringing
one.
sexy baby back.
That was that movie, wasn't it? The Austin Myers, with the Irish guy.
Yeah. Austin Powers,
Austin Powers, that's right. Yeah, there's this Scottish guy, fat bastard.
Yeah.
I'm bringing
sexy
back. Anyway. So, look, before we go,
What have you done, Andrew?
Please tell us, Andrew. Just quickly tell us where people can find you if they want to.
I don't think there's any. I can hear the tumbleweed going. People going, "There's no way."
No. Everybody wants to work with the most unsexy man.
Everyone wants to know if they can tick the boxes on your checklist. That's what they want to know.
Yeah.
www.andrewgriffiths.com is the easiest place to find me.
Awesome.
So doesn't or Google me.
Yes.
Or chat GPT me.
And just remember, he's not the children's author.
Yeah, don't abuse poor Andy. Like he's
he didn't say sexy baby.
No, that's right. I'm the only sexy baby around here.
Trademark that. All right, I'm going to end this before it goes anywhere else.
We better. Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
A real pleasure, and we shall bid you farewell. Go adapt, evolve, ask questions, be curious. Ciao.
Bye.
You've been listening to Banterpreneurs. If you have a question for us to answer on the show, submit it on our website at banterpreneurs.com. And if you liked what you heard, give us a review and share the love with a fellow business mate. See you next week for more solopreneur shenanigans.